They called it family support, but what they really wanted was access to my paycheck, my savings, and my future. The moment I refused to co-sign my sister's $150,000 business loan, I stopped being their daughter and became their enemy. My name is Emily, and I'm sitting alone in my small apartment in Boston, surrounded by the kind of silence I used to dream about. Outside, the city moves nonstop, sirens in the distance, footsteps on wet sidewalks, strangers rushing through their lives. But inside this apartment, it's peaceful. For the first time in years, I can finally breathe. The place is tiny, the rent is ridiculous, the kitchen barely fits 2 people. But every inch of it belongs to me, and after everything I survived, that means more than luxury ever could. Sometimes I look around this apartment and think about how impossible this freedom once felt. It all started the day I refused to co-sign my younger sister Lily's $150,000 business loan. To most people, that probably sounds reasonable, but in my family, saying no was treated like betrayal. My father, Mr. Thompson, was the kind of man who controlled every room he walked into. He carried himself like a military commander, cold posture, sharp tone, constant authority. My mother perfected passive aggression into an art form. She could make guilt feel polite. And Lily, my younger sister, had spent years floating from one unrealistic dream to another while everyone else cleaned up the mess behind her. Every failed plan came with the same promise: this time will be different. But it never was. One evening, after an exhausting day at work, I walked into the house and immediately felt the tension in the air. The living room was silent in that unnatural way families get silent before a fight. My father stood near the dining table with his arms crossed. My mother sat near the fireplace wearing that tight smile she always used when she thought she was teaching me a lesson. Lily sat on the couch, smug and confident, like she already knew the outcome. I was still in my work clothes, heels clicking across the floor, keys dangling in my hand when my father looked directly at me and said, "You're not welcome at Thanksgiving this year." Nobody laughed, because nobody thought he was joking. Then came the speech they had obviously rehearsed beforehand. Family supports family. According to them, my refusal to risk my financial future for Lily's newest business opportunity made me selfish, ungrateful, disloyal. What they conveniently ignored was the fact that I had already spent years financially supporting them. I paid half the mortgage. I bought most of the groceries. I covered utility bills when money got tight. I handled emergencies. I kept the household afloat while they told everyone I lived there, rent-free. And now, because I wouldn't hand over my credit score for Lily's boutique fantasy, I was being exiled from Thanksgiving like some kind of traitor. The strange thing was, I didn't break down. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. Instead, I calmly set my bag down and asked if anyone wanted me to move the leftovers out of the fridge before I left for good. That shocked them more than anger would have. Because the truth was, I'd already seen this coming. For months, they had treated my income like family property. My savings account had become their backup plan. My future had become collateral for Lily's failures. So 2 weeks earlier, quietly and without telling anyone, I rented a studio apartment. Before sunrise the next morning, I changed every shared password, redirected my direct deposit, removed my financial ties, packed my essentials, and walked away. And for the first time in years, nobody could stop me. The next morning in my new apartment felt unreal. There was no yelling from downstairs, no one calling my name to solve another problem. No tension hanging in the air before breakfast, just soft November light filtering through the blinds and the quiet hum of the radiator. I kept waiting for guilt to hit me, but it never came. Instead, my phone exploded with missed calls and frantic messages. My father had called 3 times. My mother called 5, Lily twice. The messages started polite and quickly turned desperate. My mother first claimed there was an issue with the account. Then she admitted my father's card had been declined at a gas station. Soon after, Lily sent screenshots of failed payments at a grocery store, demanding I fix it immediately. I almost laughed. For over a year, I had been quietly paying for most of the food in that house while they acted like I contributed nothing. By mid-morning, the family group chat was in chaos. Bills were bouncing, the checking account was short, auto payments were failing, Lily was embarrassed in public. And for once, none of it was my responsibility. Standing on my tiny balcony with a cup of coffee I bought using my own money, I felt something unfamiliar. Peace, not happiness, not revenge, peace. Then my cousin Sarah reached out privately. She told me the entire house felt uncomfortable after I left. She admitted nobody expected me to actually walk away. Then she asked me a question nobody in my family had asked in years. "Are you okay?" That question almost broke me, because I realized how long it had been since anyone cared about me outside of what I could provide. I finally told Sarah everything. I told her I was paying half the mortgage. I told her I covered groceries and utilities. I told her Lily's business dreams were just endless financial black holes. And most importantly, I admitted the truth I had avoided for years. My family didn't see me as a daughter. They saw me as infrastructure, the reliable one, the fixer, the financial safety net, and the moment I stopped sacrificing myself for them, they panicked. A few days later, my father confronted me outside my office. He stood near the curb gripping a coffee cup so tightly it looked like it might crack in his hand. "We need to talk," he said. I told him I had 10 minutes. Not once did he apologize. Instead, he told me I had made things worse and that Lily was devastated. Then he repeated the same phrase again: family supports family. I finally asked him the question I should have asked years earlier. Is humiliating me publicly your idea of family support? That caught him off guard. He tried defending Lily's business plan, explaining that she wanted to open a trendy clothing boutique downtown. According to him, all she needed was my co-signature so the bank would approve the loan. But banks look at facts, not fantasies. Lily hadn't kept a stable job in years. Every few months there was a new dream, a new plan, a new crisis. And somehow, every road led back to my wallet. Then my father accidentally revealed something that changed everything. They had already told Lily I would co-sign. Without asking me, without my permission, they had promised away my future like it already belonged to them. That was the exact moment the last ounce of guilt disappeared. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "That was your mistake, not mine." He called me selfish. I told him dependency wasn't love. And for the first time in my life, he had no response. But things didn't end there. Once my family realized guilt no longer worked, they escalated. An anonymous complaint was sent to my workplace accusing me of financial misconduct and instability. HR opened an investigation. I spent 2 exhausting days proving my innocence. Thankfully, the claims fell apart almost immediately. But the message was clear: they wanted to scare me back into compliance. Instead, I hired an attorney named Ms. Harris. I gave her everything: screenshots, financial records, payment histories, threatening messages, evidence of the harassment, and then things became genuinely disturbing. Sarah warned me that Lily was spreading rumors claiming I was secretly broke. Someone even created a payment link using my name. Then Lily showed up at my apartment demanding I sign a commercial lease guarantee to prove we were still sisters. That was the moment I stopped negotiating. I told her to leave immediately and warned her I would call the police if she returned. 2 days later, my mailbox was forced open. That same night, fraud alerts appeared on my credit report. Someone had attempted to open credit lines in my name. At that point, this was no longer family drama. It was fraud. Ms. Harris immediately sent cease and desist letters and filed formal reports. My mother responded with a cold voicemail accusing me of destroying the family name. But by then, I was done protecting people who never protected me. I froze my credit, changed every password, documented everything. Then I sent one final email to my family. I told them I was no longer their financial safety net. Any future contact would go through my attorney, and if they ignored that boundary, we would settle it in court. After that, the entire illusion began collapsing. Lily lost business opportunities, potential lenders stopped responding, relatives who had invested money started demanding answers. Without me quietly holding everything together behind the scenes, the cracks became impossible to hide. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened in my own life. I started healing. At work, HR officially cleared my name and praised the way I handled the situation professionally. Shortly after, a hospital network in Boston offered me a new opportunity. I accepted immediately. 6 weeks after Thanksgiving, I packed my belongings, changed my number, left Ohio behind, and started over in Boston. Now, when I sit alone in this apartment, I don't feel lonely. I feel free, because I finally learned something that took me years to understand. Love should never require self-destruction. Family is not entitled to your future. And boundaries are not cruelty, they are self-respect. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the people who only value you for what you can give them.